welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark, Deep Blue Sea Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Adam, Cliffhanger Hodgins, and Megan Swift Hoffmeyer.
Is that a reference to Taylor Swift? Because I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's your gangster nickname. Because everyone in this film, Cold Pursuit, has gangster nicknames.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and also, when I threaten somebody, I only give them half the threat, and then I come back a day later and let them know the rest of it.
whoa. So you give them the cliff and then hanger?
I'm gonna punch you so hard that you're not gonna, and then I walk away. And I'm like gonna feel your feet like I just come back and finished it. I leave everything a cliffhanger.
You cannot.
It's my trademark.
You cannot. That's whole. I didn't even get that. Oh my gosh. I was thinking like to hang him from a cliff and then leave him there and come back.
No, I thought it was a pretty obvious joke, actually.
Well, in my head, I was just so stuck on the Rennie Harlan classic that I was just thinking cliffhanger. But you got to be careful. All these people in these movies, they roll in groups of at least two. So the person you're with can't be someone that's like, when I come back tomorrow, I'm gonna, and the guy in the background goes, kick you in the face. Like,
Oh,
you're like, no!
I'd hate that guy.
Yeah, exactly. So he does it on purpose, right? He or she, they do it on purpose. And so listen.
My calling card.
Your car, guess what? He's like, he put a bomb in it. Like, no! Stop!
You
Stop
definitely
it.
don't want to be the brave guy that goes alone, because that doesn't work out for anybody in this movie.
Yeah, even the gift carrier. The delivery
Okay.
guy.
Even the brother, I mean, he goes it alone, and that doesn't end well either.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, before we get into this, because, oh boy, we're going to get into this. I also want to say that up here in Canada, we've had the hottest 2 days in like the last 6 years.
Wow.
And so I'm talking about Cold Pursuit on literally the hottest evening that we've had in this country for the longest time. But to fully understand how great this movie is, and it's like beyond great, we need to look at Liam Neeson and his career trajectory, because he's a journeyman actor at this point in time. Would you agree with that? Like, he kind of does whatever Liam Neeson wants to do. And he's kind of become an institution bigger than being an actor.
It's become a Liam Neeson picture, as opposed to just he pops up in whatever role he can get. Now it's a Liam Neeson's movie.
Well, and that's right. And so you look back at his early work, he was like in Excalibur as like a bit player with Patrick Stewart, right? That he was there. And then to the point where he's even like in episode 1 where he's like playing a Jedi and he's doing that. Schindler's List. What was the NRA movie he was in?
Michael Collins.
Rob
Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Roy. Like he played all these like major movies, big characters. But then I'm gonna say around Taken, around that time was when he just became like, oh, Liam Neeson's, we're gonna watch like a badass revenge movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of became his thing. Like, even, have you guys seen The Honest Thief?
Yeah, we saw The Honest Thief.
Yeah, so even in that, where you're like, oh, he's a bank robber. Oh no, it's an intense revenge movie. Like, it quickly changes to like, oh, this is him just doing this bit. And so when you see the trailer and you see the title of Cold Pursuit and you read the synopsis of like, oh, his son, like, not to spoil it, but like his son dies. His son dies, and he takes revenge on an entire crime organization.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, so they just changed out son for daughter for Taken. Like, it's just the same thing. He's going to do his bit. And you go into this movie thinking it's going to be this no nonsense bare knuckle brawl, and then you get maybe the funniest movie I saw last year.
Oh yeah.
Because it's not that.
No.
As much as it is that, it's not that. And it's a big bait and switch, and you're like, Liam Neeson, well done.
Super dark comedy.
We watched this movie and just laughed at the dark humor. I mean, okay.
I think at first we sort of looked at it and we went, are we supposed to laugh at this? And then some of the gags just kept going, and you're like, this is really funny.
The title sequence of like the graves, whenever anybody would die at the end of that scene, like that joke kept getting, and at the end when there's like 30 names on the screen after the big shootout, I was like, the payoff to that gag was worth everything that this movie was.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of a nod to what the original version, In Order of Disappearance.
Yeah. No, it was, they're basically a shot for shot. Can you hear my cat meowing? Because I think it's not meowing, purring. Our cat Stella is just purring so loud right now. Can you hear it, Adam?
I can't.
Oh, I was hoping I could have an entire podcast backed with Stella's
She's
purring.
so cute. I can hear it.
So that's but if you can hear it out there listening, just know that we have an adorable 10-year-old calico cat that's sitting right next to us purring very loudly. It's kind of nice. But so this movie, In Order of Disappearance, it was directed by the same guy, Hans Moland. I watched it today. It has the same cinematographer. I mean, basically same story structure, same character names, same shots. Like Philip Ogard directed it, or was the cinematographer on it. And it's like I think you know why I think this movie is so good. Like you said, Adam, it's a bait and switch. Where this was just a Norwegian film to begin with. It was a European film with that sort of dark sense of humor. I think the Europeans sometimes do that really well. They blend this dark humor, and sometimes that doesn't translate over here in the States because you get a different director, a different screenwriter. There's different sensibilities, but no, this director came over here and directed it with the same cinematographer and essentially not the same backgrounds. I mean, there's two completely different countries and continents, but very similar vistas. So I think this movie is one of the rare remakes that is able to capture the essence of the original and still just be funny and not forced. I mean, the finale of this movie features a guy who's been gliding through the mountains, and then he slides into a snowplow and just gets demolished. That's the ending of this film, and then you see his title card pop up, and he dies.
Right. And that's the end.
It just makes me so happy, and I was so happy when you messaged me, Adam, and said, Mark, so every now and again, we've been doing this for probably 3 years, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Sometimes Adam will message me, and then he'll just say a movie, like Cold Pursuit Thoughts. And I just went, yes. Yes. Because Megan and I love it. I knew that, like, this is a movie for us. Also, I also brought up Cliffhanger earlier because this is our trilogy of Mountain Mayhem. Cliffhanger, Icebreaker, and now Cold Pursuit.
I call it the Frostbite trilogy.
The Frostbite trilogy. Or Hard Powder, as this movie is working.
Hard Powder.
What's a better name? Hard Powder or Cold Pursuit?
Cold Pursuit.
Ooh. Yeah.
I like Cold Pursuit because it's just really it's funny.
Yeah, it's.
So
well, here's the thing. When you
Pursuit.
I didn't even
Mark
think
is
about
not picking up any of the like obvious jokes tonight. Where it's
man.
Hey Mark, why did chicken cross the road? And you're
It's
like, I don't know,
been
but
a
I'm very
long week
concerned
on
about
this
this chicken.
Wait, why is this chicken crossing the road? And is there a possum nearby? Because I don't want either of them getting hit.
Oh man, that possum. We'll talk about that later. Oof,
Yeah.
That story. But I think, again, Cold Pursuit works 2 times because you hear the name Cold Pursuit and you're like, oh, like this is going to be a badass hot pursuit. Like they're trying to make it like 90s awesome. And then you watch the movie, you're like, oh, it's a joke. Like it's a joke. This whole movie is just like a dark, twisted joke. It works twice. It's so good.
I think the part that really sold it for me is when Nels and Grace Coxman go to the coroner to identify their son Kyle, and there's a 36-second long shot of a tech trying to raise the gurney, and it's just this awful squeaky noise, and it's this really morbid scene, but it's so funny because it goes on for so long.
Well, it's meant to, like, in every other movie that has that dialogue on the script page, it's an emotional heart jerk move. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, it's like it's played off for laughs.
It goes on long enough too that at first you go, are they kidding? And then it just keeps going, and you go, oh no, this is hilarious.
36 seconds is commitment. And it's also really funny because there's a 19-second scene where a liftgate is going up when they were putting White Bull's son into the back of a truck. So we have a 36-second scene with one son, and then we have a 19-second scene with another son, and it's just, it's beautiful. And it's kind of mean, and it's bleak, and you're laughing about death. But once again, I think everyone was on board with this. I think they understood the tone, and even the score, I think, sells a lot of the humor in this as well. And it's just, you're right, it was such a pleasant surprise, Adam, watching this, because you get nonstop where Liam Neeson's is framed on a plane. You get the
commuter.
Yeah, you get commuter. Liam Neeson's framed on a train. What's the other one where he's with Diane Kruger and then he gets framed again? He keeps getting framed in movies. He got Unknown. He got framed in that. and then run all night. I think he was framed in that one too, or he was catching killers. I don't know, but he was running all night. People were going after him. So you're just thinking, you're right. This is gonna be chill factor. This is, I don't know, hard rain, but with a lot of snow.
I also want to say that if you look at Taken, which is like the cast that all of those movies come from, he's extremely capable. His character is like the most trained. Like it's the scene where it's like, I have a
set of skills.
I don't have money, but I know how to kill you lots, is what he's saying on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's just a snowplow driver.
Mm-hmm.
And he acts real tough, but he's not super capable.
What I like about him is
he has to try.
When he first throws that body into the water, the first body that he throws, Speedo.
Over the very tall waterfall?
He almost falls in.
That's almost a Batman Forever waterfall.
And I just love that he almost falls in. But I think what's refreshing about him is, he's a hunter, so he can shoot. And then his brother and dad were mob enforcers. So I guess he has a certain tough pedigree in him. So he's a big burly man, but he's not Liam Neeson from Taken. And it's really refreshing to watch.
He knows how to get rid of a body. He just has never done it.
Exactly.
Well, when he fights Santa on the side of the road, he's out of breath.
Oh,
and Santa's just laughing at him because he's like, "You're a tired old man."
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And then he shoots him in the head.
And then he shoots him in the head, and it's fantastic. And then he gets rid of that body as well, right? Like it's unreal. But again, I was halfway through this movie where I was like, am I enjoying this, or is this? Am I enjoying it for the right reasons? Like, is this as entertaining as I think it is? And then I'm like, oh, this is exactly what the filmmaker wanted me to do. I felt like, in Andy Kaufman's Man in the Moon, where it shows him making that documentary, his TV special, and the horizontal control goes, and he's like, and everybody at home will get up and slap their TVs. It'll be hilarious. I felt like that's what was happening. I was like, yeah, I think that he wants people to watch this movie twice to understand how funny it is.
And we've watched it 3 times now.
Oh, maybe 4.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
It's worth it, though, and we keep finding new things. And at the end, I just laughed so hard. And I guess the interesting thing about this movie, when we first started watching this, I was quite worried about Tom Bateman's character, Trevor Viking Calcott, I guess.
Yeah.
I was worried about his character because I thought it was just a kind of bland dude pulling a bit. But the more that we spent time with Viking, the more I began to like Tom Bateman's character.
Well, and then we watched Behind Her Eyes with him in it, and he's just completely different. And I think we realized exactly what he's pulling off in this movie.
He's good. And I was worried about him at first, because these are movies where...
He's so over the top.
You need that. And also, though, the actors can't be winking at the camera in these movies. That would make this fall apart. And they don't do that, but they're still playing very heightened characters. So it's a tightrope to walk.
I thought that he was kind of playing, not to make the reference again, but he was almost playing like a Batman villain. Mm-hmm. Right? Where he's bigger, he's larger than life. He's almost doing Jack Nicholson from Batman.
He's just shooting his henchmen.
He's got his very strict code to this vibe, but it doesn't make any sense to anybody else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's just chewing the scenery like 10% less than Jack Nicholson was.
A drug dealer who hates sugar.
Yeah. And
believes in gut health.
Well, I was going to say, like, Mark, I think you and I should do a challenge where we, for a month, live on his diet.
That sounds expensive. That's a lot of meat.
I would do it.
Almonds, avocado, and steak. Like, every day.
I would do it. You want to?
Yeah. I just got to run that by my wife's meal plan for the family. It's like, well, you guys are doing your thing. I'm going to be over here eating a steak, almonds, and avocado for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I mean, that would be pretty good for us.
Not the steak part. All that red meat.
Yeah. The gut health, though. Our gut health.
Our gut health would be through the roof.
With your cholesterol.